Awesome.
Good.
What is going on, everybody? It's Jason and Destiny. Today we are joined by Dorian Grey from the hit show, in my opinion, the best show of last year. Welcome to Derry. How are you doing today,
Thank
Dorian?
you. Oh, I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks for asking. I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed the show, you know.
Dude, it was brilliant because you didn't know who was safe. Like in
Yeah.
the other ones, you did because the kids, obviously, in the books and so forth. But in this
Mhm.
one, every time you thought you got attached to a character, especially like the younger characters, which
Yeah.
shows don't usually go there, and this show went there,
Yeah.
and it was just fantastic. But my first question for you is, what made you want to get into acting, and what was the early audition process like?
Ah, gee, I mean, that's a good question, man. I mean, honestly, for me, I kind of had a weird experience where like growing up, I was a really big gamer. I didn't really care for movies or TV, you know what I mean? So I I was playing a lot of video games. Started with like the Game Boy Advance. My first game was it was Donkey Kong Country, and I remember just having like so much fun with that. And then eventually, as I grew older, I started playing more games, and I was always just like, man, like when I play video games, I feel like my life is awesome, and then I go to school and like I'm not cool. I can't like kill dragons and stuff like that, and it's I'm like, wow, like I kind of was going through like an existential crisis. I'm like, man, is this all my life is going to have to be, is like going to work and doing boring stuff, and you know what I mean, not getting to experience like the world that like some of my favorite video game characters, got to experience. So it was like through that, I kind of like started taking an interest in like, okay, well, like how do I get to experience more life? You know what I mean? And I think it was like in like elementary school or something. There was like mandatory drama class, and we had to do like this monologue, right? And like the monologue was like you get to be like a superhero, like a stereotypical superhero. So the superhero I chose was like the big tough guy, and so I gave this monologue being like, "Oh man, it's hard being like the big tough superhero guy. I can't find any clothes that fit me, and I break off door handles with my bare hands and stuff." And like I don't know, I just had such a great time, and like I felt like, yo, like this is the way. And so ever since then, I would just like really had a passion for it. I mean, I always had a passion for being on stage and like presenting and stuff. But I think it was really like my love of gaming that got me interested in like just trying to experience more life. And then from there, like I went to like post secondary education. Trying to be a doctor, like everybody, like all immigrant parents want. You got to be a doctor, lawyer, or disowned. And and yeah, for me, and like that the doctor thing wasn't really working out for me, and so I took some theater courses. Initially, I took the theater courses because I was like, oh, this is gonna be like easy marks, you know what I mean? But it like I really just like loved it, like every moment of it, and like I got to be so many different people, and so for me, like that's what really got me into like the love of the craft, was just like the desire to experience more life and experience lives that I can't really experience in my one single life that I have. So yeah, that's what got me into it. I mean, and as for the early audition process, man, like that shit sucked, man. Like like okay, maybe some actors, like I don't know, some actors, like especially if you go to like some of like the acting schools, like some of the ones that we have here in Canada. I forget the names, but like the collegiate institutes for like the arts. That's a little different. But like if you're just somebody who doesn't really come from those backgrounds, and even if you do like a little theater classes in university, like if you didn't go to like a theater school, you kind of just have to start at the bottom, or at least I did. So like my first like months were just like, oh, commercial, commercial, commercial. Oh, here's like a little one-liner in the background. You know what I mean? Like it was tough, but like eventually, like I got a nice role, and then another nice role, and then the things just kind of like picked up from there. And then now I'm here talking to you guys. So life is good.
Dude, Donkey Kong
Awesome.
Country is one of my favorite video games ever. That's
Oh
amazing
yeah,
that was your
yeah,
first.
yeah, man.
Donkey Kong, Mario.
Oh yeah, you guys are gamers too. Okay, that's good. That's good. What's your favorite game? Sorry, quick aside, if you have one, or if you can choose
Mine's
one.
Ooh.
Donkey Kong Country and Mega Man 2.
Oh
Mm.
really? Damn. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I never played Mega Man 2. I played a lot of Mega Man Battle Network. But like the classic like side scrolling Mega Man games, they were so hard for me
I mean, yeah,
back
if you
when I
like
was
to
a
throw a
kid.
controller, Mega Man is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, always a Mario Kart girl, but then
Oh
probably
yeah.
Call of Duty.
Okay, 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 true. Yeah, I played the hell out of Black Ops 2 back in the day. Like I was addicted to
Absolutely.
that. That's sick.
What do you remember like your experience and emotions booking your first film, Miracle in Motor City?
Man, honestly, for that one, like, it's kind of weird because it's like, okay, I did the audition and like at that point, you get so many auditions and you just send them off into the void and like you never hear back like 9 times out of 10. So I remember doing that one and just like thinking nothing of it. And then like my agent at the time called me and was like, hey, like, like you booked it. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Like what audition? What what movie was this again? And she's like, yo, like Miracle in Motor City. Like you don't remember doing this audition? I was like, no, honest to God, I have no idea. I don't remember doing this one at all. But then I went back and I watched the tape and I was like, oh shoot. I'm like, wow, oh yes, I remember that one. Like that one was like one where I had a lot of fun. I just like had fun with it. I got to be like the fun guy. And honestly, I think like it still felt really surreal because I've heard of tons of stories of actors booking things and then something happens to the project or like there's a writer's strike or pandemic or something happens and then it gets put on hold and then it just never happens. And so I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up. I got to keep my expectations low so that I'm never disappointed. So it didn't really sink in until I actually got on set and I started seeing the rest of the cast, like Kiana Teresa, Mark Taylor, Tia Mori, and then like Smokey Robinson. And I was like, holy shit, like, yo, I made it. Like, like I remember watching Tia Mori on like Twitches back in the day on on
Right.
Disney Channel. Yeah, yeah. And I was just like, yo, now she's like in front of me. Like, this is like surreal. So honestly, I was on a high during that whole shoot. Like that still to my day is like one of my favorite experiences because it's one of my firsts and like and like taught me a lot and it was just such a great group of people and honestly I miss those guys. Honestly, I really do wish that we got a Miracle in Motor City 2 one day, but
Maybe.
you never know. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You never know. You never know.
Well, before I get to my next question, I do got to ask real quick,
Mhm.
what as a gamer, what was it like working on Avatar?
Oh, dude, man. Honestly, that was sick. Like, because like, so I got to fortunately I didn't get to do like traditional motion capture, but like I got to go to Ubisoft's studio in Toronto. And I remember walking in there and I just see like they have like Assassin's Creed posters and all this cool stuff. And I was like, oh man, this is sick. And so I remember like they're walking me through the studio and I see like all the game devs like developing stuff and I'm just like looking over there and I'm like, oh damn, what's going on over there? And then they lead me to like the the booth where I'm supposed to record and like before I get there I hear like this group of people like going like like screaming things and I was like, oh, that must be like the next game that they're like doing motion capture for, so I started like walking over there just trying to peek my head in and like the Ubisoft guy just comes over and he shuts the door and he's like, nah, you nothing to see in there. Keep moving. So they keep that place under lock and key. But man, I'm telling you, like this was such a sick experience. Like to get to be like even though mainly I did a bunch of like NPCs for that game, but like it was so sick because like you get to like do all the grunting sound effects and like or what's it like to be set on fire and things like that. And the people there are like super passionate and they'll talk about things that they've already worked on. They won't tell you nothing about what's coming up, unfortunately, but which makes sense. But yeah, man, honestly, I want to do more video games. Honestly, like I really wish I had like a really big gaming career. Like it'd be sick to be in like I don't know whatever big video game is coming up next.
That's awesome. I'm sure you'll get to do some more video games very soon. But I'm
Absolutely.
personally a lifelong Star Trek fan. And so what
Oh
was that
yeah,
process like getting the job? And Discovery was a great show. And what
yeah.
was your
Oh, you
first
like
day
that?
on set like?
Oh, dude, man. I mean, okay, so getting the job, it's actually one of the weirdest auditions I did because, like, most auditions, at least where I get, they send you the sides and then they, you film it and then everything's good. But for this one, it was like they sent me a link and it just said, you know, you got to sign like it before I could even know what I was auditioning for. They're like, you got to sign this NDA, you know, saying that you're not gonna say anything about whatever you're about to receive. And I was like, okay, like, this sounds top secret. And so I do it, and then they did tell me it was for Star Trek Discovery. But they, instead of like giving me the actual script to audition for, they send me like another link to like this portal where you got to put in this password, and then it has a script that you do for the audition. But that script that I did for the audition didn't turn out to be anything like what had nothing to do with the actual scenes that I ended up filming or the character that I ended up playing on the show. Like it was all like super serious. It was like some generic scene, I think, that they wrote it where I was supposed to be like a Klingon who's like getting into an argument with his superior officer. And I just remember like looking at that script and I was just like, oh yeah, I know how I'm gonna play this. And like the line was something like, you know, your insolence upsets me or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be dope. And then like a couple of weeks later, I booked it, and I remember like walking towards the studio where they filmed it in Toronto, which I don't think I'm allowed to say where it is, but I mean I'm sure people can figure it out. But I remember like just walking through, and this was like that place looks like a real like Hollywood studio where you have like those giant warehouses and studios where they're filming stuff inside. And I remember like being so excited. I was listening to like some of the soundtrack on my AirPods, and I'm going on to set, and I'm like, okay, yeah, now I feel like, you know, I really made it. Like, you know, I mean, I'm in Star Trek. And so I'm walking towards the set where I'm supposed to go. And then like I turn around and I see the security guard is just like sprinting like something's going down. And I'm like, oh shoot, like, hey, someone's gonna get in trouble. Like, let me see what's going on. Like, there's about to be some action, you know? But then I realized like, no, he's sprinting at me, and he's just like, he's like, hey, you like get over here. And I was like, oh shoot, like, and I guess I didn't realize that like I just walked like completely past the security checkpoint for where I was supposed to let them know, like, you know, who I am and why I'm here. So they just thought like this random person was pulling up on set trying to like, I guess, spy on the production. And they just come over and they're like, yo, like, you didn't hear me like calling you and telling you to come over here. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Like, yo, you know, the noise cancellation on the AirPods, you know, it's really, I couldn't hear what you were saying. And he was just like, he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, you know, I'm part of the cast. And he's like, oh, you're part of the cast? Oh, okay. Yo, you should have said that. That's all good. Like, let me show you where to go. And so, so that was my first impression on set. If you want to know what my first day was like, it was definitely
so funny,
a traumatic experience. But I mean, once I got through all of that and like actually got to like go on the set proper, man, like trust me, there's nothing like that thing. Like the like that warehouse hides so many like practical sets, like everything, like a lot of what you see on that show, it's not like computer generated. It's all built somewhere in a studio, and it's like it's remarkable. Like you can't even fathom how much work people put into it. Not to mention some of the scenes that we filmed where we were on like the Breen Dreadnought, where we filmed in like I think they call it like the holosphere, where it's like this area where they just have like this like 180 degree, or no, it's like 270 degrees of just like these LED panels that surround you. And then as they film, like the background will come into focus where the camera is, and that's what allows them to like have these really cool backgrounds in the set of whatever you're filming. Like it's honestly, it's a work of art, both like technologically and artistically. So I mean, if they ever let people like come and check it out, like definitely take the opportunity, or try and sneak onto the set if you can. Just, you know,
I don't know that I could outrun a security guard.
Yeah, that's true. Me neither.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about one of the standout shows last year. Welcome to Derry. When filming that, did the rest of the cast, did y'all kind of have a sense how big that show was actually going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things about like a piece of art is that like you just never know how it's going to be received until you send it out into the world. So I remember reading the script and thinking like, man, like this is like you said, that first episode where I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. Like, okay, these are the new kids, and then the first episode, they're all dead, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna come back. They're gonna come back, and I'm like, wait, they don't come back? Like, that's crazy. They just kill off a bunch of kids. Like, how's this gonna go on TV? So things like, and also like at the time, like we didn't know if Bill Skarsgård was gonna come back for it. I mean, maybe some people higher up knew, but I remember like even like when I would go in for like costume fittings, they have like a room where they have the pictures of everybody who's in the cast, and the number one spot was always just like blacked out. So we had no idea who was gonna play Pennywise and how it was gonna go. And then also like while we were filming this, we got interrupted for probably like a year due to the actor strike, so we had to go on hiatus. And that creates some complexity because these kids, like, they don't stop growing in a year. So you film one scene this time and they come back and they're like this, and you're like, oh, what the heck happened here? So I think we, just because of the the magnitude of the franchise, like we know how successful like the It movies have been, and Barbara and Andy, like they know what they're doing. Like we had an inkling that people would at least watch it, but I think I can say safely that all of us were like, we don't know if fans are they gonna like it, or is it gonna be like a last season of Game of Thrones thing where they're like, they're coming for our heads because they didn't like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like anytime like you kind of do like an origin story and you kind of like demystify a really loved character like Pennywise, there's a bit of a risk that some fans are like, oh, you took all the excitement out of it, or the mystery out of it, if you don't handle it with care. But thankfully, Jason and Brad, the showrunners and the writers, they knew what they were doing, and the fans seems like they really liked it. So I'm happy. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer to say no, we didn't know if it was gonna be as popular or as critically acclaimed as it was, I guess.
And you never know, coming from a successful film franchise, how it's going to transition to TV. Because I was a big fan of the book. I was a big fan of the original miniseries. Loved what Andy Muschietti did with the new movie. So I was skeptical. And, the first 4 episodes, you don't see Pennywise the Clown. Obviously, it is the entity, and he's there throughout the entire series. And you don't miss him. Obviously, when he shows up, you're like, oh, yeah, there he is. It's awesome. But, like, you don't miss him because the first 4 episodes are just as terrifying as the back half of the show. Yeah. Because, again, nobody is safe. And then bringing in Hanlon from The Shining is another risk. And it was absolutely brilliant. So much so that I want your guys' team to make The Shining. Like, I want to see that remake. Hey, which is something I never thought in my life I would ever say. Like, I want to see that character continue with this team.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Chris Chalk felt the same way. Like Chris Chalk, like the person who played Dick Halloran, like he has confidence in himself. So I think he always knew that. He's like, don't worry, guys, I got this. But I think like in the back of his mind, I feel like he was kind of like, like this is something that a lot of people love. So if we don't do it in the way that maybe they expect, maybe they may have some strong reactions. But thankfully we got it right, and that's the beauty of art. You never know what you have to kind of take these risks, because you can't just give the fans what they expect. You have to like try to surprise them, try to keep them on their toes. You just hope that the surprise that you give them is better than what they were expecting. And I think in this case, like, the team knocked it out of the park, so I couldn't be more grateful.
Absolutely. I think if you would surprise your audience, they get more interested, because they're like, yeah, I saw that. Okay, cool. That was okay. When you surprise them, they're like, wait, what? Yeah. And I think that really helps.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Well, before we let you go, I got one more question. And so I'm fascinated with the way productions and film works. How has the audition process changed since you started?
Honestly, I think, again, like I'm a little unique in that situation. Like I've never been in an audition room once, like in my entire career. Everything that I've done has always been a self tape, or at the very worst case, maybe they'll do like a live Zoom audition where they can give you some feedback. So for me, like, and I talked to a lot of other actors, and they tell me like, like before, like being an actor like really sucked, because you really had to, if there was a blizzard or a snowstorm like there is right now in Canada, like you had to find your way to go to set, and you have to wait in this waiting room and get all these nerves, and then wait to go in and see casting. And then, finally you get to do your audition, and then you go all the way back home. But now with self-tapes, it's a lot more convenient. So I like it, but you do kind of lose out on those relationships that you used to be able to form with casting, and it's much harder to do like entirely through a self-tape. So, but I mean, and I think like as I've progressed in my career, I feel like the industry has kind of leaned more and more into, that style of like self-tapes are king now, because it just allows them to see a lot more people in a much more condensed space of time. And that has some pros and it has some cons, but it's all I've ever known. So for me, it's all pros. So that's, yeah.
So it allows you to audition for more things, because you can send the tapes out more mass than you can driving in LA or wherever in traffic, and doing 2 or 3 instead of like 100 maybe in a day.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you can audition for things that film all over the world. I auditioned for a lot of things that film in Vancouver. Whereas, if we were back in, you had to be in the room style of auditioning, like I probably wouldn't have had access to. So I'm grateful for it. But I know some of my colleagues feel a bit differently, and I totally understand where they're coming from. I guess I'm just like the Gen Z, new age type of act. Well, I'm not even Gen Z. I'm old, but like the technologically literate actor, I guess.
Well, Dorian, what's next for you?
See, like I could tell you guys, but literally I signed the contract and it said, if you disclose any information, we're gonna sue you for $1 million. And so that's literally what it said. And I was like, well, I don't have $1 million, so I can't conclusively say what's next for me, but all I'll say is like, there's some things coming, like look out for me, and I'm hopefully I'll be on some of your favorite shows. I think some people will like this show. But yeah, just stay posted. But hopefully I get to do a video game someday. Hopefully, like, whenever they make I don't know, the next maybe I'll be in the next Grand Theft Auto 7 or something like that.
That'd be dope.
That could be cool.
So where can everybody find you online to find out what the next journey is when it gets announced?
Oh yeah, just follow me on Instagram at pictures.of.dorian.gray. And yeah, like, send me a DM, and well, if you want to get in touch, I like talking to people, and I'll be sure to post whatever I'm doing next on there.
All right, everybody, like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.